What's up guys? Are you looking to strengthen the front end of your Kawasaki KRX? Well, SuperATV's got you covered with our heavy duty frame stiffener, and today we're gonna show you how to get it installed. First thing you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and remove your wheels and tires. Now you don't have to do this if you're running a smaller tire, you know, something like a 30, 32, maybe even a 34. We had 44s on this machine. That's just a lot of weight out here when you're trying to move that arm up and down to get the bolts out. So we went ahead and removed our wheels and tires for both sides. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go ahead and remove the lower A-arm hardware. Now over here on the passenger side, you're going to have an actuator cover. It'll have two Phillips head screws. You want to go ahead and remove that, set it aside. Once you've done that, go ahead and remove the nuts off of both of our bolts. Pick up our arms, and then we'll just let it sit there. And a lot of times, it won't move that much, so you don't have to make any adjustments or anything like that. Ours pretty much stayed in place. So we're going to go ahead and grab our side brace, and then two of our bolts that are included in the kit. So we're gonna take our side bracket here, slide it up here, and then we'll just take our A-arm bolts, slide them through. We got one bolt started there. Over here, do the same exact thing. Lined up, pull some tension on, shove it the rest of the way through. And this bolt right here, I like to just get it to where it barely comes out the opposite side. And we'll come over here and we'll just do the same exact thing. Go ahead and remove both of our lower A-arm bolts, same way as we did on the opposite side. And we'll go ahead and grab our side brace as soon as we get these bolts out, get our brace in. Get our brace slid into place here. Same as the opposite side. And again, on this rear one, make sure you don't push your hardware too far through. So we will have a plate that has a welded nut on it. Now we'll go ahead and grab our front brace. It'll sit in here with the lip facing forward. We'll just slide it all the way across to the opposite side. So then we'll push our bolts the rest of the way through on the front hardware only, like that. And we'll go ahead and take our provided nuts, go ahead and get them started. So now we're going to grab our bracket that has the nut welded onto it. We're going to install it onto the passenger side so it looks just like this when it's facing outward. Get it lined up on the threads, and then we'll just want to go ahead and thread our hardware into the nut. So now we're just going to go ahead and make sure that our hardware is good and started into our threaded bracket. Looks like it's threading in there good. So we got it good and started. We don't want to fully tighten anything just yet. Get a couple more turns on it real quick. All right, so that's in there. We'll repeat the same steps for the opposite side. So same thing on this side, we're just going to make sure that we get our hardware good and started here. We're not going to fully tighten anything yet, but we're just getting all the hardware good and started, making sure everything's laying out how it's supposed to be laying out and all that good stuff. So this one looks good. It looks like it's starting pretty good. Reach up in here and you can feel bolt coming through. It's good and tight there. All right, so now we're going to grab the frame stiffener itself. And I like to get a Phillips head screwdriver whenever I do this as well, because there's two holes up here on the factory bumper, or if you don't even have a factory bumper, you won't have to worry about your Phillips here. But we're just using the Phillips to kind of line the holes up in the frame. That way our screws will go in easy. So what we'll do, take our plate, lip it in here, and you may have to kind of pull out on your bumper a little bit to get the plate to slide in. Once you get her slid in there, you just take one of your 10mm bolts that are included in the kit. So we'll just go ahead and get one started and get the other one lined up, get it started as well. We won't fully tighten these, but we're gonna run them up pretty good. That way it holds everything in place for us. So as you can see now, everything's kind of lining up. So now we need to get the rest of our hardware and get our frame stiffener attached to all of our brackets. So we're gonna grab the rest of the hardware in the kit. All we're gonna have is Allen's left and nylock nuts. And we'll slide them through. So you'll have holes on the frame stiffener as well as holes in all of your brackets. Let's go through and line them all up. Then back here, this rear one, it can be a little bit more difficult than the fronts. It still goes together the same way. Like I said, just a little bit more difficult. You're working in a tighter area here. You're up against the skid plate. So it can be a little bit tricky. I like to just take my nut, put it on my finger here, and just kind of slide it around until I get it lined up with the hole where my screw is going to come through, and then just kind of feel around until I feel that screw getting close to the threads on the nut, and then just thread the screw or bolt into the nut. Same trick. Let's get it good and started. So we have them all started on this side. We'll head over here to the opposite side, do the same thing. Now we have all of our hardware started across the board for all of our A-arm hardware as well as our frame stiffener hardware. Now we're going to go through, fully tighten all of our hardware. So once you have one side tightened and you're going back here to tighten your rearmost bolts, go ahead and remove the rearmost screw. Now we told you to install it that way it didn't tweak anything. We know our hole's lined up there. We know it's good to go. So we're gonna take a wrench and slide it in here to get onto our nut. Now it is a little tricky to get the wrench in here. You have to just finesse it just right in order for this wrench to go on here, onto the nut. But it will do it. Let's see if it'll grab a hold of it. So right there, see, it grabbed it. We're able to snake our wrench out. So once we have that nut tightened up, this hardware right here, we'll go ahead and get the rearmost one. Slide it through. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead here and fully tighten it. Sometimes if you're having issues getting the nut on this bolt right here, you may have to take your bolt loose that secures your rear most A-arm tab to the frame. I usually just like to back it out to where it's barely in the threads on the nut. You know, that way you have a little bit more room to get in there to tighten your nut for your frame stiffener. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Like I said, sometimes you can get it without doing that. Sometimes you will have to, depending on, you know, if it tweaks the frame stiffener just a hair. Like right here, it's a little tweaked, but once we tighten it up, everything's gonna be good. Once you went through, fully tightened all your hardware, went through, double checked everything, you'll just want to reinstall your wheels and tires. And that's how super easy it is to install SuperATV's heavy duty frame stiffener on this Kawasaki KRX. For more information on this frame stiffener or any of SuperATV's great products, be sure to give us a call or check us out online. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.